Hello, my name is Jazzy, and this is episode 1 on a brand new world in Satisfactory 1.1. If you have ever watched a playthrough of Satisfactory before, you've probably seen the giant dystopian factories, the concrete skyscrapers, and the general lack of care for the planet they're on. We are going to be doing something a little bit different. Whether you want to call this the hippie or the tree hugger playthrough, what I'd like to bring to Satisfactory is something called Solarpunk. If you've never heard of Solarpunk, it's essentially Cyberpunk's nature-loving cousin. The incorporation of nature and technology, kind of smashed together. This video that's playing on screen now is the best representation I have of Solarpunk, and it's just a Giovanni Yoga ad. You should give it a watch, it's a gorgeous video. To achieve this, we're going to be using a couple of mods, the main two being Fix-It Farming and Refined Power. I also have a couple of decorations mods that will help me bring this to life. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy.
Separation from main transport complete. Group 8 delivered to Calistian region. All pioneers functional, initiating dispersion. Attention pioneer, I am Ada, your personal instance of the artificial directory and assistant. Welcome to the Fix-It Incorporated Save the Day program. A Fix-It pioneer has 3 core assignments. Construct. All pioneers must follow Fix-It guidelines and instructions when constructing any building. Automate. Every pioneer is responsible for setting up and managing efficient pipelines, outposts, and power infrastructure. Explore and exploit. Fix-It selected planets are rich with resources suitable for direct use or further investigation. Stay within your designated. And that is why the world is counting on pioneers like you. Fix-It. Short-term solutions to long-term problems. Initiating planetfall. Atmospheric entry in 3, 2, 1. Beginning arrow assist. Drag within acceptable parameters. Descent phase begun. Decelerating. Deploying parachute. Deploying backup parachute. Skipping parachute. Landing phase begun. Activating retro propulsion. Touchdown. Planetfall complete. Drop pod integrity nominal. Omni situational exploration suit nominal. Pioneer. Acceptable.
Man, the start of this game is always beautiful. This is actually my first playthrough post the official release. I played a couple hundred hours in the beta and have watched a couple playthroughs myself, but never actually experienced it firsthand. So we'll be doing the onboarding process just in case there are any viewers who somehow haven't heard of Satisfactory before, and just because I need the achievement. I'll be using this playthrough as an all achievements run as well because I'm a bit of a completionist. So let's just hop straight into it. All we gotta do is just grab the zappy stick and put it into our hand equipment slot.
Next objective. Dismantle the drop pod. Fix-It incorporated as cost-effective and efficient. We do not waste. The drop pod will be recycled to construct the first stage of the habitat and utility base, often referred to as the hub.
And by pressing F, you can bring up the dismantle menu and we can just quickly dismantle this pod into parts.
Next objective. Use the resource scanner to find and collect additional iron to be able to build the hub. If you cannot find iron, be assured scans of the planet have revealed sufficient iron sources.
And the most important thing to do on a new playthrough is to spam E repeatedly. We need as much grass and wood as possible in order to power our biomass generators. And we want to make sure we get automation up and running because we do not want to be handcrafting outside of the tutorial. It's nice that it's an option, but this is a factory builder. We gotta build factories. Although what might be more important than grass and wood is these purple glowy orbs. These are called Mercer-spheres, and were a work in progress for a very long time in the beta, but I know they are very important now.
The astrobiologist Dr. D.M. Mercer was the first to recognize the presence and probable nature of these alien artifacts. These chain-melted state spheres are named in his honor. Each sphere emits a unique signal and will require study to determine local application, store it for later use.
So if you just follow your compass after scanning, you'll quickly find these iron ore deposits scattered throughout the world. We can just hold E, give these a quick bash with our chisel, and collect some iron ore.
Next objective. Use the build gun to construct the hub. Iron is a base component necessary for all near-future progress, so ensure you build the hub close to iron sources. Fix-It does not pay by the kilometer.
And with just a little bit of iron collected, we can construct the hub. It's looking a little naked at the moment, but we have the terminal. That's where we can deposit materials to start upgrading it and progress through the
Hub
game.
foundation built. The hub terminal and crafting bench are only the humble beginnings of a successful Fix-It pioneer, but essential for the next steps of onboarding. Once finished, the hub will function as your base of operations. Next objective. Complete Hub Upgrade 1.
And this is our crafting bench. This is where we can manually craft items, but as I said before, we don't want to be manually crafting for a very long time because we need to automate. You can just press spacebar and walk away and craft a lot of items, but as we start to progress through the game, recipes get more complicated and some complex items can't be handcrafted at all, so don't get used to this. We will use it for small amounts of items or just for emergencies. But now we will just need a few iron rods, because that's all we need to get the next upgrade. But I'll also make some iron plates as well, since I have some leftover iron.
Hub Upgrade 1, Storage and Frame, completed. Equipment like the portable miner can now be made in the workshop. Congratulations on completing your first milestone, the first of many providing access to new recipes and technologies for the Fix-It mission. Next objective, complete Hub Upgrade 2.
So now we have access to the workshop, which will allow us to craft equipment. The only thing we can craft right now is portable miners, but that just means we no longer need to manually mine for resources. These are super important to speed up the early game, and we'll be able to get about 4 of these with the iron we've collected so far. So we can just chuck these 4 miners down and then we can go on a little adventure. The easiest way to speed up the early game is actually by looking for crashed ships or dropships. They have a lot of really valuable loot just sitting on the ground we can scoop up nice and easily, and if we are really lucky, we might be able to open up a couple of these drop pods and get some hard drives early in the game. These are used for ultimate recipes for some of the future stuff, so they're very useful. You'll also want to keep an eye out for these energy trails. They lead to power slugs, which we can turn into power shards. We will need a lot of these later, but for now we'll just grab any that we see on the way and that are easy to grab.
What can I say? I love nature.
Yoink. And yoink. So this is one of those crash ships I was talking about before. Lots of goodies, but normally they're either in hard to reach places or are guarded by some particularly angry locals. These guys are a bit annoying to deal with because they charge super fast, and I'll be honest, I'm not very good with melee weapons. But again,
I am always acting in self-defense, occasionally preemptive self-defense.
Circle of life.
but with those guys out of the way, we can grab 74 rods, nice, 40 rotors, super nice, a little reinforced iron plating, a bunch of screws, plates, and cable. All stuff we no longer need to handcraft. And would you look at that, this drop pod needed rotors to be opened, so we score an early hard drive. Perfect.
Damaged hard drive successfully acquired. All pioneers are contractually obliged to preserve and secure any recovered hard drives for future analysis, which may result in benefits to the Fix-It mission. Speculation as to why there are crashed freighters in your Fix-It designated zone is discouraged as specified in your contract.
Well, that was pretty good. Our inventory is looking a little bit full, so I'll head back to base so we can continue with our hub upgrades, but it was a fruitful adventure regardless. So we can just quickly unload our goodies into this storage container. We won't need a lot of this yet, but it will come in handy later. If we have a look at our miners, we can see they have all completely filled up, so we can grab the ore out of them, and thankfully because we got enough rods and plates from the dropship, we don't even need to handcraft anything. Just move straight on to hub upgrade 2.
Hub Upgrade 2, Power and Shell, completed. The smelter can turn raw ore such as copper and iron into ingots, and the biomass burner generates power when fueled. Fun fact, Most of the native flora and fauna is compatible with Fix-It technology. Fueling the biomass burner with inappropriate materials will result in deductions or even cancellation of your yearly bonus. Next objective, complete Hub Upgrade 3.
This one's another pretty easy one. We'll just need to grab a little bit of copper, and then in no time at all, we've already done Upgrade 3.
Hub Upgrade 3, Interior Furnishing, completed. The constructor can produce simple parts, and power poles allow for the expansion of the power grid. When you make the inevitable mistake, Fix-It's dismantling feature is designed to salvage all resources used during construction, in line with our zero waste policy. We understand that Fix-It pioneers are only human, and thus prone to error. Next objective, complete Hub Upgrade 4.
Rinse and repeat. Grab some limestone, make some concrete, BAM! Upgrade 4.
Hub Upgrade 4, Landing Platform and Utilities, completed. Conveyor belts connect the output of one building to the input of another and transport resources. Due to past incidents, I have been asked to issue a clarification. Portable miners, obviously, do not have a connection for conveyor belts. There is nothing to suggest, visually or functionally, that they can be connected to portable miners. If this is something you struggle with, do not worry. Fix-It has alternative uses for all their pioneers. Next objective, complete Hub Upgrade 5.
And I think you get the idea by now. Handcraft concrete, get upgrade 5, handcraft iron plates, and finally get upgrade 6, and the hub is finally finished. Onboarding complete.
Hub Upgrade 6, Landing Platform Hydraulics, completed. Freighter landing initialized. Congratulations, you have completed onboarding and achieved the absolute minimum skill level required of a Fix-It pioneer. Fix-It looks forward to your future achievements, because a future with Fix-It is a future with you. Tier 1 and 2 milestones are now available in the hub, and biomass burners can now be built individually. Your first official objective is to initiate Project Assembly by building the space elevator. This objective will take a significant amount of resources, so Fix-It recommends getting to work.
And now that we have access to all of the early game machines, we can finally build something a little like this. Now, none of this is optimized whatsoever. However, it is set up just so that we have a little bit of everything starting to be made. So, for anyone who hasn't played Satisfactory before, I'll give you a really quick rundown. We have the miner here. This is mining 60 iron ore a minute because we are on a normal node. Impure nodes would only produce 30 a minute, and pure nodes would produce 120. This is going into 2 smelters. Each is producing 30 iron ingots a minute, and those are going into a constructor each, one making iron rods and the other making iron plates. Now, the rods only need 15 iron ingot a minute, so I've made a second constructor making some more rods, which is then being turned into screws. So we have completely automated screws, rods, and plates. It's not super efficient, but just having some automated is better than none. I then went and grabbed some limestone and copper, so we have a little bit of everything being made. Screws, cable, concrete, wire, rods, and plates. So what we're going to do is just let these run on their own, filling up those bins, while we go and run around the area and try to find more drop pods, and try to get a jump start on some of the really important upgrades. Tell you what, just before we go running off into the wilderness, it's probably a good idea to grab this tier 2 upgrade, obstacle clearing. This is going to get us the chainsaw, which just means we can stop picking up leaves manually. So we make this in the equipment workshop, and we'll also make an object scanner while we're here. We won't use this too much yet, but it is very important later on. So now we have the chainsaw. Let's gather organic material like leaves, wood, mycelia way faster. So I'll go and gather some resources, maybe find a drop pod or 2, and then head back. So we're only out exploring for about 10 or 15 minutes, but we managed to collect some goodies. Plenty of leaves and wood, some steel pipe and encased beams, which will be very useful later on. And from just that little adventure, we now have 240 concrete, which is 240 less that we have to craft by hand. Not bad at all. This is why we have it automated. Even if it's not efficient, look at that, 500 screws. Beautiful. And another very important thing we need to get started on early is the MAM. This is the secondary pathway for upgrades and unlocks that's a bit separate to the hub. So there are a lot of really important things that we're going to need in here. So all you need to do is have the resource needed for the upgrade, in this case some hatcher remains, and if we research this, you can see a little further down the tree, we have some upgrades like more inventory slots, more equipment slots, there's an inhaler, which is a great healing item, and even new weapons. Super cool, super fun, get this done as soon as you can. Something I really want to get online ASAP is alien technology. This is using those work in progress from the beta things, those Mercerspheres and Summer Sloops. I've been a little bit spoiled from watching other playthroughs, but these are absolutely necessary, and researching this node means we can now use the object scanner to find more.
Mercer Sphere analysis completed. Established local planetary signature of Massage 2, AB, B, in the local Mercer Sphere signals, allowing them to be tracked by the object scanner. Mercer Spheres can also transmit data between specific
Witness our scripture, witness our hymns, and come to defile our shrine. Sing a song.
arguing the existence of intelligent alien life. While Fixit has figured out the method, all of the original data is still untranslatable.
Okay, bit of alien spookiness. We'll definitely need to keep researching that to learn more about what's happening there. But for now, I'd like to look at one of the mods we have installed. Refined Power with Wind Turbines.
Milestone reached. The Refined Power R&D division have developed a new power generation method. This building can generate up to 30 megawatts of power based on its altitude. Note, if a wind generation device is within the vicinity of another building of the same type, performance will not be optimal. Stay efficient.
Okie dokie, so now we have unlocked wind turbines. They are quite cheap to build, only some plates and rods, but they only produce between 10 to 30 megawatts of power. If we compare that to the biomass generators we have running, this produces 20 megawatts of power. So they are actually quite good if you can get their max output. Oops, that's not good. Let me quickly fix power first, then we'll play around with the turbines. Okay, just a quick Mark 1 fix to get these biomass generators constantly fed. This is extremely inefficient just because we do not have belts that can support enough resources, they don't have enough throughput. So these recipes need just a ridiculous amount. This one needs 120 leaves per minute, or in this case, the wood is producing 300 biomass per minute. We just can't deal with that level of throughput yet. But like I said before, some automation is better than no automation. So for now, we at least have a somewhat steady stream of biomass, at least enough to keep these generators running. So we have this Mark 1 wind turbine. If we connect this up to power, we can see that this is producing 6 megawatts. And while that's not great, that is 6 megawatts completely for free. We don't need to feed it any resources, but Ada did say that we couldn't have two turbines close to one another. Yeah, okay, so that's blown a fuse, and now this turbine isn't running. So in that case, we just need to find out how close is too close. Still too close. That's not great. So you've got to be pretty far apart. Okay, so that works, and that's about 5 foundations apart. They need to be separated pretty far to actually produce any power, but then the output is quite low. Since they need to be spaced so far apart, you can't just span them all over the environment. I know that height plays a bit of a difference, so I'll chuck one up here. We'll just chuck one up and see how much they produce at a higher elevation. So if we chuck a turbine up here, only 7 megawatts, 47% efficiency. Okay, so these need to be very high up in order to be super efficient. Now I have a plan for that. If you remember those white balloon-looking things from the Chobani ad, I'd like to try and make those. We're definitely gonna need some more decorative stuff before I can start building them. I don't know if we'll be using the Mark 1 turbines. We will definitely find a use for them later on. I believe these go up to Mark 3 or Mark 4, so hopefully they will produce a little bit more power, so we can get something interesting with those. We do still have solar panels from this mod as well, so once we unlock them, we'll see how efficient they are. For now, we just won't be using these. We do have this sloop that we've had sitting here, so let's just grab this.
The Summer Sloop was named after Marie Somerville, co-founder of Fixit and head of its R&D department. There are many theories about the origin of this shape and why this symbol mathematically resembling a Mobius strip has found its way to both human and extraterrestrial culture. Thankfully, you don't need to know any of these theories to be a pioneer. Research it in the MAM to establish locally appropriate classification and application. Fun fact: the planet you are on was found and named during a planet spotting event Marie hosted named Marie's Awesome Scientific Search of the Avant-Garde Exoplanets.
Okay, I wonder if that's a reference to something that I don't understand. I got the Matthew Mercer one from the Mercer Spheres. Anyway, let's research that in the MAM. Oh, I forgot I was researching a hard drive. So we've got some alternate recipes. Let's have a geese. Cast screws sounds good. We can go straight from ingots to screws rather than making the rods first, so that's nice. Hopefully we can unlock some recipes later on that will completely negate the need for screws at all, but for now let's scan this sloop.
Summer Sloop analysis completed. Summer Sloops are somewhere between battery and conduit, harvesting energy from pockets of space with complete disregard for the rules of the space-time continuum, and distributing it into its connected ecosystem. This energy,
Let the effigies harvest until the waves reach our shores. Consume.
similarities to the hypothetical force of dark energy to potentially be one and the same. It can now be tracked by the object scanner.
So now that we've researched both Mercer Spheres and Summer Sloops, we can scan for them with the object scanner, which will make tracking them down a lot easier when we're out drop pod hunting. So where are we at the moment? Can we build the space elevator yet? No. Okay, so we don't have enough concrete. Back in the hub, what can we unlock in the meantime? Parts assembly is the next big one that will allow us to start making modular frames and rotors instead of just relying on the ones I found at crash sites. Actually, we probably should get onto that, because something I did unlock back in the MAM, just because I'd found some quartz while on my travels, is this right here, Blade Runners. These are an equipment that help out tremendously in the early game, as they improve your movement speed. Just makes traversing the map a lot easier. However, I don't know if doing parts assembly before Mark II logistics is sensible. The more complex your recipes are for producing parts, the better conveyor belts we're going to want to have to make sure that we have the correct throughput. So while we're waiting 10 minutes for the pod to return so we can get parts assembly up and running, I figure I'll go on another adventure, look for some more Mercer Spheres and Summer Sloops. I'll be right back.
The effigy has no song, only echoes, but it is part of a river. Why does the effigy avoid the windows?
Attention. Your brain's operations are outside typical parameters. Time spent daydreaming will be deducted from your sustenance budget.
Okay, well that's definitely something that is new from the beta, is all these alien talking in our brains. I honestly couldn't tell you what the voice is saying. Are we the effigy? Why don't we have a song? I don't get it.
You're talking nonsense.
And we are back. That was quite a fruitful journey. We managed to grab a hard drive, a couple Mercer Spheres, and some slugs. Oops, speaking of hard drives, this one just about finished scanning. Fine concrete and iron wire. Now, iron wire is not very efficient at all, but sometimes it is nice to just streamline your factory to need less input, so we'll probably take that. And the other one has cheap silica. Okay, this is really good. This will be used a lot later on. We won't need much silica early in the game, but that's definitely a nice one to pick up for the late game. And with a couple of easy unlocks, we now have the rebar gun, which is so much nicer than the melee zapper. So now that we have the rebar gun, we have somewhat reliable damage, and just means we'll be able to take on certain enemies easier, especially bees. I hate fighting the bees.
Oh, no, not the bees!
And now that we have 500 concrete, we can build one of the coolest buildings in the entire game, the space elevator. Look at this beauty. She's absolutely massive. And you need to watch the sequence the whole way through. It's a beautiful sequence of animation.
Project Assembly initialized. Congratulations, Pioneer. The space elevator will now automatically connect with the Project Assembly orbital platform. Project Assembly is divided into phases, each of which require the delivery of project parts, such as smart plating, via the space elevator. Subsequent phases unlock access to new tiers with more advanced technologies to construct, automate, explore and exploit. It is time to be honest. This project is part of the Save the Day program, the largest united undertaking in human history, destined to save us all. Earth is in peril and only Fix-It pioneers offer hope for survival. Fix-It is counting on you. Humanity is counting on you. Do not let Fix-It down.
So this is how we're going to be sending up resources into space so that we can begin Project Assembly, whatever that actually is. They never did explain what Project Assembly was in the beta, so hopefully we can find out this time around. And with that, seems like a good milestone to call it there for episode 1. We finished all the hub upgrades, we built a mini starter factory, we built the space elevator, and we are ready to kick off next episode with our first real factory and start Project Assembly. If you made it this far, please give us a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more. I hope to see you in the next one. See ya!